This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, let's have some fun. It's time for Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, taking you through your Wednesday night right on into your Thursday morning. If you're our friends over on the East Coast tuning in to the program, whether it's on YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, Sirius XM channel 158, or all the ways that you can watch or listen to the big show. And a big show it is. We've got some great guests lined up thanks to our sensational producer, Jared Moore. Hour one, we're coming in hot and heavy. We're just about 15 minutes away from our buddy Tanner Kern joining the program. Of course, you can catch his terrific content over at DraftKings Sportsbook. He'll be joining us with some best bets for Thursday, NBA playoffs, on the diamond, you name it. We might even delve into a little bit of hockey with our buddy Tanner. Adam Burke, VSiN Contributor, senior editor, going to be joining us later on in hour one, and then later on in the program, VSiN senior handicapper, our friend Wes Reynolds, because it's a Wednesday night, and that means Wes's winners are coming at you. We'll dive into some golf, some NBA playoffs, and more with our buddy Wes later on in the program. Busy day in the world of sports. Only 2 games on right now. It looks like we've got an equalizer in one of them. Trying to catch a replay here. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the St. Louis Blues, they did from the right side. Little snipe past Connor Hellbuck, who's had a hell of a night, denying St. Louis on some impressive attempts. But the Blues get one past them, and so we are knotted up at 2 in Central Canada. Hey, how about it? Jets 2, Blues 2. 13 and a half minutes to go in period number 2. High-scoring affair up there in Winnipeg. The Jets laying $1.65 on the live line. St. Louis plus 130. Puck line, if you think Winnipeg can win this thing by 2 or more, you're getting better than 2-1 odds on the Jets. That live total, by the way, 7.5 plus 145 to the over, minus 90 cents. 95 cents make it to the under, as we just got a little update right there on that live line. Lakers, T-Wolves. 7 minutes to go, quarter number 2. Minnesota's up 44-37 in that one. The Wolves looking to close out the Lakers, something Golden State could not do earlier in H-Town. The Rockets went wire to wire on them, hanging a big fat dub over the Dubs. But the Lakers have it within 5 here, 6.5 to go. Let's see if the Lakers can follow suit with the Houston Rockets and stay alive in their series with Minnesota. On their home court, laying 1.5 live with this 5-point deficit that they're facing. They were laying 5.5 to 6 pre-flop, depending on where you shopped around. So we'll keep you updated every stoppage with some live odds in the Lakers-Wolves game. How about some top performances? Rudy Gobert already with 11 points. I've got to pull up what his pre-flop prop was, because Rudy Gobert has not been scoring much this series. It's been a lot of Jaden McDaniels, Jules Randle, obviously the Ant-Man, leading the way more often than not. Gobert's prop was 6.5 points. The over was even money. And he is already there, quarter number 2. How do you like that? So Gobert's got 11 points and 6 boards. No other Wolf in double figures. Jules Randle, next man up with 8. LeBron's got 8. On the LA side of things, LeBron and Luka both 8 points, both 4 boards. Rui Hachimura, a team-high 10, as Luka matches Hachimura, I believe, right there with 10 now on the night. Or did that give Luka 8? Was the box score ahead of the TV? Box score might have been ahead of the TV. Reeves has 7, right behind LeBron and Luka. So Lakers starters doing well. Finney-Smith got the start in this one, and he's got 4 points. That's the low mark among the starting 5. Maxi Kleber, I don't think he played in game 4. He's getting some minutes off the bench. Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt getting some minutes off the bench. But this Lakers team, deep they are not, as we've been talking about all week here on the show. So they're going to need a lot out of their starting 5. Finney-Smith, the newest addition to that starting 5, as they try to switch things up and figure something out here in a series that I don't think they expected. I don't think you or I expected. Minnesota would be up 3-1 after 4 games. But the Lakers are on a nice little run, as Rudy Gobert fighting for his life down low. My goodness, this Lakers team is so small. Gobert looks like I used to look playing center when I was 11 years old with a bunch of little kids trying to hack my elbows. I mean, my goodness. Gobert he had Reeves around him. He had Finney Smith around. It just takes that ball, puts it over his head, and it's actually comical. It's like watching a youth basketball moment right there. But the Lakers forced a turnover. Now they've got a corner three to tie. No good. Wide open look, too. Wow, who was that? Hachimura? Missing it. Wide open from the corner. That's a bad miss. You get a look like that. Minnesota tries to answer. Dante DiVincenzo for three. Back to a 6-point lead for the Wolves in that one. Stoppage on the ice. Let's see if anything's changed there with respect to the odds. Not really. Jets minus 160, Blues plus $1.25. More of the same there. 10.5 to go in the second period. Let's backtrack it a little bit to the game that just concluded before this one tipped off. Golden State, Houston. Wow, when I say the Rockets went wire to wire in this one, I mean 131, 116, and that's with Golden State outscoring Houston by 12 in the fourth quarter. So Houston, after going up 16 in the first, 27 at the half, 27 is what they led by after 3 as well. There was just never a point where it was like, oh, Golden State might be creeping back. Never a point in that game where that seemed plausible. Steph had 13 points. Off the bench, Moses Moody had 25. Kevin Knox had 14. Talk about players getting garbage time minutes. I mean, they're starting 5. Steph was the only one in double figures. He had 13. Podziemski and Butler had 8. Draymond 7. Hield 4. That's what, 27? 40 points out of the starting 5. My goodness, that's an embarrassment. Meanwhile, every Rocket starter had at least 11. Jalen Green with the low mark of 11. 3 guys had 24 or more. Brooks, Thompson, and Van Fleet. Şengün, popular play on points and boards combo, 30.5. Doesn't get there. 15 points, 9 boards. How about 9 assists, though, from the big man who's really been handling like a point forward out here this series. Şengün has been doing it all, bringing the ball up, orchestrating things, creating, playing great defense. He had 2 steals, 2 blocks. How about Amin Thompson? 5 steals and 3 blocks to go with 25 points. I mean, he is an absolute heart attack. And obviously right now with the Bucks being eliminated, you're starting to hear the murmurs of Houston being a potential destination for Giannis and what that might require. And Jalen Green might have to be involved. And Alperen Şengün might have to be involved. The Rockets have made it clear, even though their season's not over and they know that, Amin Thompson is not on the table. He is not to be discussed in any trade for anyone. I mean, goodness, 25 points, 6 boards, 5 steals, 3 blocks, 3 assists, a plus 32 differential, high mark on the team. Just talk about a guy who, for the entirety of the 35 minutes that he was out there, was a difference maker that entire game. He was absolutely sensational. Going to get to some action today on the Diamond. I believe every game is in the books. The Athletics and Rangers were the last one, and they've gone final. How about the A's with a 7-1 win in Texas? Now both teams 16-15 on the year. Rangers 11-5 at home. The A's improved to 10-6 on the road. One of the few exceptions in baseball who have been better on the road than they have been at home this season. I believe they got a big home run late to really bust it open. That game was a tight one. It was 1-1. Oh, goodness. Wow, 1-1 going into the ninth. A's put up a 6-spot top 9. I thought it was 2-1 going into the ninth, but nope. Rooker hit a 2-run homer, and then a grand slam by Lawrence Butler, the leadoff hitter. Jacob Wilson, Jack's kid, continues to rake. He's hitting 325. Funny enough, the OBP is 336. Soderstrom continues to hit well. The left fielder, the rookie with loads of pop. I believe he's at 10 home runs on the year. Rooker, we already know about his power. This Athletics lineup, these guys can hit. I mean, they've got really from 1 through 5. That is just tough out after tough out, from Butler to Langoliers, the catcher, who's now finally starting to figure it out with a little bit of consistency at the dish. Severino pitched well. 5 innings, 1 earned. Eovaldi pitched well for the Rangers, 6 innings, 1 earned, 8 Ks. But it was the Rangers bullpen, Luke Jackson, the closer, in a tie game in the 9th, who ultimately blew this one. In to try to save the game. Garcia had started the inning, and Jackson came in after and gave up both home runs to Rooker and Butler. Folks, if you're betting baseball, got to remind you, our friends at ProfitX have the best odds all season long. ProfitX is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in over 40 states, the first of its kind in the U.S. You'll be able to make your picks against other groups of fans rather than against the books. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%, and you can even request your own odds. Download ProfitX today. Use code VSiN. You can earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month. And I'll tell you what, folks, this product is truly sensational. You all know every weekend I go back home, I go back to Los Angeles, and that is my method of wagering in Los Angeles, using it as a peer-to-peer sports exchange. The odds are better than anything you get anywhere else. Easy to use app, best price, best odds. They've got all your props too, anything your heart desires, strikeouts, outs recorded. ProfitX is the best. If you're in a state where maybe that's legal, traditional sports gambling isn't, or a state where both are legal, always shop around. We always tell you, get the best price out there. ProfitX will do that for you. On the other side, our buddy Tanner Kern's going to join us from DraftKings Sportsbook, give out some great plays for Thursday on the diamond, on the hardwood, on the ice. You don't want to miss it. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo. Don't go anywhere.
Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, Cashing Out continues with myself, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Wednesday night, right on in to your Thursday morning for our friends on the East Coast especially. And now we're going to take you right on over to our progressive guest line. Welcome in our friend, does terrific work over at DraftKings Sportsbook, Tanner Kern, into the program. We've got a rare occasion where Tanner's got picks for us in 3 separate sports on Thursday. I can't wait for this, Tanner. My man, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good, Joe. How you doing?
I'm great. I can't wait to pick your brain on some of these games. Let's start NBA playoffs. Pistons, Knicks. I think personally this is a terrible spot for my Knicks. Dropping 2 out of 3 at home. You had a chance to bury Detroit at MSG. Couldn't do so. Now you're going back to Motown where Detroit has gone 0-2 this series. It's hard for me to envision a world where Detroit goes winless at home this series. Tanner, what do you think about Game 6?
I'm going to take the Pistons on the money line, Joe. They've outplayed New York this entire series. We go back to game 1. They had every opportunity to win, but playoff inexperience hurt them in the fourth quarter. In game 3, which was by far the best display for the Knicks, they lost by 2, and then they got screwed in game 4 with Tim Hardaway no call. So look at the Knicks. They've been effective on the road in this series, but I don't think the Pistons are going to come into this game overlooking them by any means. They're going to show up and try to get a big win at home and extend this series. And if it goes 7, even though it's going to be in New York, I think the Knicks are in slight trouble here. It's clear Jalen Brunson's injured. He's also undersized against a really physical Pistons defense. Cat's playing with his back to the hoop. That's not his style. That's not what works for him. He needs to shoot the basketball. He's passing up shots at times. That's something he just can't afford to do. I really think Detroit has nothing to lose in this spot, which makes them a really dangerous team. Cade Cunningham's got room to improve as well. He hasn't really been super effective from the field. If he gets just slightly better and the role players for Detroit continue to do what they're doing and the playoff inexperience doesn't hurt them, we're asking for a lot here, but I think that home court advantage and how Detroit has played in the series overall will be good enough to get a win here and force a game 7.
Tanner, you hit the nail on the head, my man. Detroit is the guy in a bar fight who's got nothing to lose, and that's always the more dangerous guy. The Knicks have expectations attached to them. They've got pressure, and right now they're cracking under pressure. Even in the games that they've won, they haven't separated themselves, which in terms of talent, they should be able to do against this Pistons team, man. I love everything you just said, and I'm with you. I think Detroit wins Game 6. How about the Clippers-Nuggets series? Going back to L.A., the Clippers stormed back in Game 4 to tie it. Nuggets get the buzzer beater, then obliterate L.A. in Game 5. What are you looking for here, Game 6 in Inglewood?
This is a really hard one to predict because the Clippers have been the better team throughout the entire series. Nuggets coming off a great win, obviously. That was their best game so far. But the Clippers realistically have been better. So it's hard for me to lean towards Denver in this spot. I do think LA can force a game 7, but I do like a prop and betting on a guy that tends to always show up, and that's Nikola Jokic over 49.5 on his PRA. Coming off a game where he had a triple-double. Wasn't a great scoring night, but still continues to put together triple-doubles like it's his job. I was on the PRA in the last game, really didn't work out for me there just because the scoring was down. He shot poorly. He didn't shoot enough. And really, Denver controlled the game the entire night. I don't think they had to press much and get the ball to him as much. And then Jamal Murray obviously took over. Star of the night, 43 points. But that hasn't been the case traditionally in the series. I think he's due for a little bit of regression. And I also think LA is not going to give him the chance to shoot 14 3-pointers either. So if that's the case, it should open up Jokic for some more scoring opportunities in the spot. Schematically, you can stop Murray. Jokic is a different beast, obviously. He's gone over this total in 3 of the 5 games in the series. He should be effective at the rim, have that better scoring night because, again, he was pretty inefficient last game. And also, the Clippers give up the most assists to center, so that helps when Murray does get his chances and other players from the perimeter. So I do like Jokic over 49.5. I'm not saying they win the game, but for them to be competitive, I do think he has to have the big night in this one.
Yeah, it feels like a good bounce back spot after Murray got his chance to play hero at home. Now go back to Jokic on the road. I'm curious, and I know that this isn't listed on your best bets. Any intrigue in anything having to do with Kawhi Leonard? Because outside of that game 2 where he was out of his mind, vintage Kawhi, he's been, I feel like, a relatively average, at least from an offensive perspective, this series. So any intrigue there? Maybe over 24.5 points, 32.5 points, and rebounds. Anything stand out to you?
Potentially. I mean, between him and James Harden, it's hard to pick the guy who's going to go off every night. And I've had that case with James Harden traditionally and Kawhi Leonard. You just don't know what you're going to get. Obviously, playoff Kawhi, when he's healthy, is a different beast. And at a game where their back's against the wall, I would love to bet on him to be the guy. I'm just not so sure. It's really hard to get a gauge on how those two play together.
Yeah, 39 points for Kawhi in that game, too. Has not eclipsed 24 in any other game this series. Let's take it to the ice. What are your thoughts this Oilers-Kings series? What do you like Thursday night?
I like the Oilers 60-minute money line against the Kings. This series looked like it was going to be done after a couple games. The Oilers were outshot in game 1. They lost a nail biter. Dominated in game 2, 6-2 loss there. And again, it looked like the defending Western Conference champions were going to have an early playoff exit. But you look at the past 3 games, we've seen just a completely different Edmonton team. They've won the shots on goal battle. They've been getting an insane amount of pucks on net to a point where just LA looks overwhelmed. They can't seem to handle it. This is an LA team that went 31-6-4 at home, and the Oilers smacked them in Game 5, one that I thought LA was going to come out after losing 2 straight and actually step up. Calvin Pickard has been statistically one of the worst goalies in the playoffs for Edmonton, but he's done just enough considering that the Oilers are getting so many shots on goal. They're in the slot. They're living in that area, and if they continue to do that, there's no reason the series isn't going to end tomorrow night. Now, with the series returning home, all the momentum on the side of Edmonton, just bad news for LA. And it's not like it's just Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Vander Kane, Zach Hyman, like those guys. The whole team is really contributing. It's been a lot of good shifts for them across the board. And I just think it's bad news for the Kings coming to this spot. They're going to drop their 4 straight, and the Oilers are going to move on.
Yeah, and make it 4 straight years with one more win. Edmonton will have eliminated LA in the playoffs. I was right there with you. I figured this Kings team, best home team in hockey, below average on the road. I figured they'd go back, right the ship game 5. If they weren't able to do that, it feels like this thing is meant to end in 6. I love the 60-minute play. How about a couple plays on the Diamonds? What's going on in Great American Ballpark? The Reds all of a sudden can't hit. St. Louis had a great doubleheader, and you think the Cardinals do it again Thursday?
I think they do. The Cardinals are a bad team on the road. Obviously, today doesn't necessarily support that. But heading into tonight's game, they were 13-17, 3-12 on the road. So obviously adding another win there. 4-12 on the road, still not great. But I do like them in this spot. Matthew Liberatore is going to be on the mound, and he's just been tremendous this season. 2-2, 3.19 ERA, whip under 1. He's allowing just 1 hit per inning right now, less than 1 hit. He's been really good, and has allowed 1 home run and just 2 walks in 31 innings on the mound. That's the key stat to look at. If you don't walk batters and you don't give up home runs, you're going to be successful. It's hard not to win when a starting pitcher puts up numbers like that. And across the board, Andrew Abbott, he's going to pitch for Cincinnati. He's been solid, 3.6 ERA, whip right around 1 as well, but only has 15 innings on the mound. And when you look at who he's faced, the Pirates, the Orioles, and the Rockies, not great lineups there. Baltimore is 20th, Pittsburgh is 25th, and Colorado is last in Major League Baseball in runs scored. So I think Abbott's due for some regression here. The Reds' offense is much better statistically than St. Louis. They haven't necessarily shown it lately, but the Cardinals are a middle-of-the-road team when it comes to runs scored. They're 7th in OBP. Andrew Abbott's going to have some trouble here, and if Liberatore continues to do what he's done so far this season, I like the plus money here.
Tanner, as always, man, great stuff. Take us home with one more play. What do you like? My Mets, Citi Field taking on the D-backs. Rubber game. What's the call here?
I like the under of 7.5 here. The New York Mets have been one of the best teams in baseball with the Dodgers, but they've done it without a lot of offense. Don't get fooled by their 19-run slaughter of Washington on Monday. They don't hit, and a big reason for that so far, Juan Soto has struggled at the plate. He's walking, got a great OBP, but when he gets chances to swing, not really converting there. Mets are 14th in their team OBP. They would be 16th in runs scored, taking away that 19-run performance the other day, and 13th in home runs. These stats don't necessarily resemble where their record is. Love Kodai Senga on the mound, 3-1, 1.26 ERA, allowed 1 home run in just 28 innings. Zach Gallen is the wild card here, going to pitch for Arizona. He's been not great, but he's faced good offenses, and the Mets bats could be just what he needs to limit the runs here. I think this is a tight game. I think it's one that New York wins, but worst case, I'm thinking 5-2, and that would keep it under the total of 7.5.
I love it. Go get that exact in. Mets 5, Arizona 2, and let's have another series win at Citi Field for my Mets. Tanner, great stuff, man. Really appreciate you joining the show. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Make sure you follow him on Twitter at @TannerKern_. Check out his fantastic work over at DraftKings Sportsbook. And folks, with the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs heating up, baseball's in full swing, and the Kentucky Derby is right around the corner, just a couple days away. So don't just watch, bet smarter with VSiN Pro. Time's running out to get full pro access through August 1st. Everything we do, just $59, saving you well over a third off the monthly price. Sign up now. That instant access will include a daily recap of best bets from all of our VSiN hosts and guests, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 live video on the VSiN Watch app with full replays, and our Kentucky Derby betting guide with previews and best bets on the Derby and Kentucky Oaks. Every sport, every edge, one fantastically unbeatable low price. Sign up now, VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. More picks, more winners, more cashing out with Joe Ceraulo up next.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through your Wednesday night here on the program. Fantastic stuff with our buddy Tanner Kern right there in that prior segment, getting us ready for some plays in all different various sports on Thursday. Can't wait for the day of action that is to come. 4 Stanley Cup playoff games, couple of NBA games, a pretty good Thursday MLB slate. I mean, I'm looking at this thing, a lot of day baseball. We've got, 7, 8, 11 games on a Thursday. That's fantastic for a day that's, typically one of your off days, right? Monday, Thursday, your 2 more common off days in Major League Baseball. We've got 11 games on a Thursday from out here on the West Coast, 9:30 in the morning, going right up until 6:45 start. Colorado, San Francisco, Kyle Freeland, Justin Verlander opposing one another. Wonder if we can find an angle to bet the Giants in that one. Money line's -235, so that ain't going to be it. But we'll see. I like to venture into those no-bat bottom 9 bets. Went 2-0 on those yesterday in a 5-0 day. Had a 2-2 day today, but the 2 plays we hit were both plus money plays. Michael King got the win. That was plus $1.50. Cal Quantrill, over 3.5 earned runs at Dodger Stadium. He allowed exactly 4, plus 110. So, 2-2 day, end up plus 0.4 of a unit. So another winning day following going 5-0 yesterday on the Diamond. All of a sudden, baseball, we're getting back to our winning ways. We're 12-4, last 16 MLB bets. So I will take that with a smile on my face as we claw back to 500 after what was a a rocky April all around. Finished the month of April down about 2.5 units. Finished down in baseball from the start of the season opening day until here as we approach May 1st. Finished down 2.2 units in baseball. So April, slightly below 500 month after a March where, we documented it. Make sure you follow at the Joe Ceraulo on Twitter. You can see the spreadsheet, all of our bets ever made since I started here on Cashing Out. March, we were over 20 units. April, we're down 2. So a little regression. As long as we're not down 20 units, we'll take it, right? Because if we were down 20 units, I don't think it would be Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo much longer, folks. Speaking of Twitter, make sure you tweet at the show. Best tweets get shared on air. I want your best bets. I want your hot takes, your thoughts, your opinions. Send them all our way, like our friend at VegasAl31, who loves to send in his baseball bets, says at the Joe Ceraulo, MLB tomorrow, Reds moneyline -120, Blue Jays moneyline -110. Reds hosting St. Louis, trying to avoid the sweep. Abbott opposite Libertor, laying a 20 cents there. And with the Jays coming off that big come from behind 6-0 turn 7-6 win against Boston, Jose Barrios taking the bump opposite Tanner Houck, who has been an absolute Houck job out there this season. Houck has been terrible. 0-2 with a 7-5. This is a guy who I believe was shorter than 10-1 live last season in the summer in that AL Cy Young race, right? And I never really bought in with Tanner Houck, but I just don't love his stuff. But, last year the numbers were there. I mean, you look at how he was going into the All-Star break, made the All-Star team, and naturally he allowed all 3 runs that the National League scored in that All-Star game. Tell me he didn't really belong, right? But going into that All-Star game, or into the All-Star break rather, he was 8-6 with a 2.54 ERA. Yet he finished the year 9-10 with a 3.12. So just a terrible second half from Houck. That has, I would say, continued, but frankly, it's gotten even worse here in the early goings of 2025. I mean, you look at his 2 best starts. One of them came against Toronto. Got a no decision. Team lost in extras. But he went 6 2/3, 1 earned. The other against the White Sox, 6 innings, 2 earned. Outside of that, he's been atrocious. Last time out, 5 innings, 4 earned at Cleveland. At Tampa, 2 1/3, 11 earned. Baltimore, 4 innings, 3 earned. Rangers, 5 2/3, 4 earned. I mean, he's gone, 3 earned or more in 4 out of his 6 starts on the year. So maybe we'll look at a Tanner Houck earned run. Even though he did pitch well against the Blue Jays, his second or third start of the season, he is just not consistent. He's not reliable. He's at Toronto here. It's a lineup he's done very well against career-wise. 23 for 114. It's a 202 clip. 20 strikeouts. Only 5 extra base hits in those 23 hits. So low slugging of just 263. Houck has done really well against the Blue Jays, but this year he's been abysmal. His 2 great starts, both at Fenway. His 4 road starts. What's that road ERA? My goodness. Total ERA is 7.58. On the road, it's 11.65. Wow. Yeah, our buddy Vegas Al, that might be a good spot to take the Blue Jays, especially with Boston. I mean, blowing a 6-0 lead is absolutely terrible. You just can't do that. Not when you're the Red Sox. Not with that lineup. That is an absolute joke. We're at halftime in Los Angeles. The Lakers trying to fight off elimination, down 3-1 in the series. Well, they're down 10 at the half, 59-49. Minnesota leads it. LeBron, 10. Hachimura, 10. Luka has a team-high 12. However, Doncic did walk gingerly into the locker room with about a minute to go in the first half. Took a fall. They're saying it looked like he tweaked his back a little bit. I mean, I hope he's out there. I expect he'll be out there. There's nothing further other than that he tweaked his back. But the Lakers are going to need Doncic. Otherwise, you might as well just let LeBron sit, have Jared Vanderbilt go out there for the final 24 minutes, and start booking your Cancun reservations if you're LA. Because if Doncic and LeBron aren't out there and aren't performing with this 10-point deficit, that's it. Season over. Rudy Gobert has a game-high 15 points, 8 boards to go with it. Have yourself a day, Mr. Gobert. Jules Randle has 8. Ant-Man's got 10. Alexander Walker off the bench has 10. Dante DiVincenzo's got 9 off the bench. Minnesota has already taken, and they haven't shot well from beyond the arc, which is, they're up 10. If they've shot well from beyond the arc, they'd be up 30 right now. They're only 6 of 30 from deep, 20%. Lakers, mind you, are just 3 of 14, so 21.5%. But I said 6 of 30. The Timberwolves have taken 50 shots, 30 from beyond the arc. So not shooting all that efficiently, but getting off way more volume, 14 more shots, 16 more threes than the Lakers thus far in this one. Minnesota really not messing around. DiVincenzo's taken 9 threes. He's only hit 2. Alexander Walker 2 for 7. Ant-Man 0 for 5. But, hey, they're the ones sitting here leading by 10 at halftime. That live line, Minnesota minus 6.5. I wonder if that tells you that there's some concern there. Because, frankly, I'm surprised the Lakers down 10, facing elimination. I would think, in the NBA, it's a game of runs, right? A 10-point halftime lead doesn't mean squat. You look at that Pacers-Bucks game yesterday, and it was 30-13 after the first quarter, right? These halftime, 10 points is nothing. Warriors were down in game 4? 57-50 to Houston. You blinked, they were up 68-58, right? They turned a 7-point deficit into a 10-point lead with that 18-1 run that spanned only like 4 minutes. So, 4 minutes could go by. The Lakers could have the lead. If that number is 6.5, I would have expected that to be more like 3.5, 4.5. 6.5 is telling me that there is legitimate concern. And yeah, you look at the way I'm watching the replay right now of how Luka went down and just really abrupt body, like almost like a contortionist. Legs were going forward. Just upper body, torso got shot back. He's out there with a brace on right now, or he's taking the brace off, I think. Right? You can't play with that thing on. My goodness, that looks like what my mom has at physical therapy. You can't stay out there with that thing on. It's like a weighted blanket wrapped around him. Yeah, all right, so that's coming off. There's some concern with Doncic. He heads out to the court, and 6.5, the halftime number. We'll see how the Lakers respond as the third quarter with the inbound to LeBron has gotten underway. Hey friends, whether you're placing your first bet or you've been playing the ponies for years, VSiN's Kentucky Derby betting guide is out, and it's got everything you need to get ahead on Derby Day. Inside the guide, you'll find a clear breakdown of how to bet on horse racing, which is fantastic for beginners, detailed previews of both the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks, plus best bets from top racing experts to help serious bettors cash in, or like we say, cash out. The guide is yours with a VSiN Pro subscription, so start today. Just $9.99. You'll get your first 30 days of VSiN Pro, including the Derby Guide, daily best bets, and more. Sign up now, VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Lakers draw first blood here in the second half, make it 59-51. Just about 45 seconds into things. We'll see how Luka holds up. I can't imagine he's going to get much rest, if any, here in the second half. Him and LeBron both played all 24 minutes of the second half in Game 4. Lakers staring a 10-point deficit in elimination right in the eye. They might need all those guys to stay out there the entirety of this second half here. LeBron, great backdoor cut resulting in a dunk. 6-point game at the Crypto. More cashing out with Joe Ceraulo up next.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through your Wednesday night and now taking you back over to the Progressive Guest line here as we welcome in the guy who holds it all together right here at VSiN, our senior editor. All the great guides that we put out that we mentioned, the Kentucky Derby guide out now. Well, we can thank this man for it all, our friend Adam Burke joining us now. Adam, how are you, man?
I'm good. It's an exciting time here at VSiN. We got a big time special offer coming out here on May 1st that everyone should take advantage of. And that Kentucky Derby betting guide, as you mentioned, we put it out here this morning on Wednesday, and looking forward to everyone getting their hands on it if they haven't already.
So let me ask you about this Kentucky Derby betting guide and the Derby as a whole. Are you, do you play the ponies? Do you venture into this? Or are you the kind of guy who actually does lean on the guide heavily? Because, and I'm not saying this is a form of, advertisement here. If I'm going to place any wagers on Saturday, I'm taking info right out of the guide because I don't know the first thing about horse racing. Where do you stand on the ponies?
Well, first of all, I mean, I appreciate that. Obviously, I think we've got a really good product, so it's good to hear that, our own people are definitely invested in it, let alone hopefully our readers and subscribers. I enjoy it. I typically don't have enough time to really do it regularly, and man, do I respect the people that do it day in and day out. In the past, last year, and I'm kind of upset at myself for not doing it this year. I would write up a preview of the biggest stakes race on the weekend, but with so much with college basketball running a little bit longer, and then trying to adjust to baseball for this season, wasn't able to do that. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed doing it. My first major in college was mass media communication. My second major was history. So I've always been a researcher. I've always enjoyed that part of the sports betting industry. And with horse racing, there's so much I don't know that I like diving into it, watching the YouTube clips of past races, stuff like that. So I did that for my Kentucky Oaks preview in the Derby betting guide, and I'll definitely do that over the next couple of days for the Run for the Roses itself.
And my major was journalism, Adam, yet as much as I want to back that pony, I can't justify it at 3-1. I just can't, in any horse race, play a number that short. But let's shift gears. Let's get over to baseball. We are now through April. We're through a month on the diamond. What are your big takeaways? We all know betting baseball in April is hard. You're still trying to get a feel for these teams. I mean, these guys are still trying to get a feel for it themselves, right? I was just talking about Tanner Houck, and he certainly doesn't have a feel for the ball in the early going of the season. So what's been your big takeaway after a month of the regular season?
Yeah, I think there's been a couple of takeaways, and the problem is, I'm not really sure how to apply them just yet, but road teams are only winning about 40% of their games so far this season. Generally speaking, over the last 5 full seasons, you see road teams win about 47% of the time or so. I'm somebody who really likes taking short road favorites and short road underdogs, and maybe that's part of the reason why I've gotten off to a bit of a tough start here this season, but 39.6% the win rate for road teams going into tonight's action. So that's something that I don't know if there's necessarily an explanation for it, but it is something that I am following pretty closely. The other thing is that, and this is maybe turning a little bit now because we saw a lot of home runs today. We saw a lot of home runs yesterday as well. But the league-wide slugging percentage, lowest it's been since 2014, second lowest since 1992, before everybody realized they could take HGH and all the steroids and all of that. So we have not seen a whole lot of power so far this season.
Yeah,
and that's typical of the early part of the year because the weather is colder. But I think there may be a little bit more to it than that. So, when I try to think about that, combine it with handicapping, kind of get paralysis by overanalysis to a degree. But those are two big things. Road teams are not finding much success, and we haven't seen a whole lot of power compared to past seasons just yet.
Yeah, I got bit taking a road team on the run line. I took the Cubbies. Matthew Boyd figured that the way that their offense has been zooming lately, that would be a pretty good bet. And Pirates pitching staff hung in there. Pittsburgh ends up winning the game outright. As we look ahead to Thursday here, you've got some intrigue. I don't know if it's in this game necessarily or if it's more in the futures market, but my Mets taking on Arizona. What do you like both in this game? And then I know you've got to play on Arizona long term.
Yeah, so I think Arizona at this point in time, I mean, they're out there at even money at DraftKings to make the playoffs. And this is a team that's off to a decent start, and they've gotten virtually nothing from Zach Gallen, who gets the ball on Thursday, and also Corbin Burns, their big-time free agent signing. Those are two guys with track records. And while I'm not a huge Gallen guy like a lot of the market is, he just gives up way too much hard contact for my liking.
Yep.
He's not as bad as he's been here, so far this season. And Corbin Burns is obviously a guy with a, very, very prestigious track record throughout the course of his career. Their offense is really good. Their bullpen, their primary guys are better than I expected them to be. I think the Diamondbacks at even money to be a playoff team is a pretty good bet to make right now. And frankly, kind of following through with that, I do think that Gallen is a guy who should get better as this season goes along. So the Diamondbacks are on my short list at plus 130 tomorrow. But Kodai Senga's thrown the ball pretty well here, and the Mets obviously are off to one of the best starts in baseball. So on my short list, not the strongest play I have so far here for Thursday, but I do think long-term the Diamondbacks should end up being a playoff team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right with you there with Arizona. I like this team a lot. Obviously, as a Mets fan, I'm hoping that the Mets get the rubber match, and Kodai Senga, to your point's been sensational. But I've got Arizona over their win total. This was a team I was really high on coming into the year, and you know what? I mean, they're just hardly above 500, but Gallen and Burns have struggled. Marte is hurt, and they're treading water. So you have to imagine, look, this is a team, 2 years ago? They were below 500 in July, and then they had one of the best 30-day stretches we've ever seen. So I think Arizona's best ball is ahead of them. How do you like the Tigers going down to Anaheim? Kikuchi 0-4 out there to start his season with the Angels. Casey Mize, just another guy for Detroit who seems to be stepping up in this rotation. What are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I like the Tigers here laying this short price. Again, it's, kind of my MO, finding a short road favorite. And like I said, those haven't really worked out all that well this season to this point. But look, I mean, this is a Tigers offense that by WRC plus is 6th against left-handed pitching. They're 11th in weighted on base average. They've performed really, really well against southpaws to this point. And Kikuchi's a guy here right now. There's not a whole lot of control for him. The command is not particularly strong. The Angels have absolutely no idea with developing pitchers. They don't know how to get them to pitch sequence. I mean, all Griffin Canning had to do was stop throwing his fastball as often as he was, and the Angels couldn't figure that out, and the Mets have clearly figured that out. So I just don't trust any pitcher who's struggling for the Angels to turn things around. Casey Mize is throwing the ball well. The Tigers are clearly the class of the American League Central this season so far. Mize is a guy who typically keeps the ball in the ballpark. And the one thing that the Angels have been able to do offensively a little bit is hit the long ball. But Mize is pretty good at keeping the ball in the park. So I like the Tigers here laying this short price at Angel Stadium, expecting Kikuchi to continue to struggle here like he has.
Hey, let's stay with the Angels out there in that American League West. Athletics, Rangers. I believe that's going to be the rubber match, right? The final game of the set. Tyler Mahle, Jeff Springs opposing each other, 2 16-15 teams. I mean, these starters have, their start to their season could not be any more different from each other. Mahle with the ERA hovering around 1, Springs around 6. Yet you might be back in the pitcher with the ERA of 6.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Athletics in this game. So Tyler Mahle's a guy that I'm looking to fade right now. 1.14 ERA, 3.50 expected ERA, 4.01 xFIP.
Ooh.
Right now he's running a 2.17 batting average on balls in play, 87.1% left on base percentage, hasn't given up a home run yet. These are not sustainable statistics for anybody, let alone a guy who's not a frontline type of starting pitcher. Also a guy, really coming back off of a couple of lost seasons, only 8 starts over his last 2 years. So he's a guy I'm looking to fade for sure. And Jeffrey Springs, he's gotten very unlucky here. 53.8% left on base percentage, inducing a lot of soft contact. He's a positive regression candidate. Mahle's going the other way. I like the A's here at a plus money price down there in Arlington.
I like it. Adam, 90 seconds to go, man. I got to ask you because it is Skeens Day. Cubs, Pirates, it's the first game, 9:35 a.m. out here on the left coast. What are your thoughts on Skeens early going in the year? To me, this is a guy who's been really good, but I don't think is deserving of that incredibly, ridiculously short price in the Cy Young market. What have you seen out of him in his sophomore campaign?
So there's a lot of things I like about what Skeens has done so far this season. I mean, his walk rate is under 3. His hard hit percentage is under 30%. His barrel rate's right around 3%. He's doing a fantastic job of inducing weak contact, not walking guys. Yeah, the strikeout rate isn't as high as it was last year, but again, a power pitcher that's probably easing into the season a little bit. Something else I think is important to point out here, and I've referenced this video clip a couple of times. So former MLB reliever Trevor May, he retired. Now he does a lot of stuff on YouTube, and he did a video talking about some arm angle changes. And Paul Skeens is a guy who's kind of lowered his arm angle a little bit this season in hopes of staying healthier. So if he's able to stay healthy, he deserves the short price for the Cy Young here. Not saying that I would bet it, but I like a lot of the things I've seen from Skeens here so far this season, and most of them look like they have staying power to continue.
He's coming in at like 5/8. I noticed that on opening day, and that's a terrific point, Adam, that you bring up. I will say I found myself being able to get stretched out more as a starter when I went 3/4 as opposed to over the top, which I was in my younger years. It was way less strenuous. That's phenomenal stuff, Adam. That's why they pay you the big bucks, right, man? Really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for hopping on.
Have a good night, man.
VSiN senior editor Adam Burke, always a pleasure talking ball with him. Guys, up next, we'll have more Lakers-Wolves updates. This game is heating up. It's cashing out with Joe Ceraulo. Don't go anywhere.